Welcome to the Fostering Longevity podcast, where our mission is to bring our audience information from subject matter experts on how they can improve their longevity when it comes to different modalities such as sleep, nutrition, movement, stress. And today we are going to be talking about sex, desire, and intimacy when it comes to longevity. Today's guest really needs no introduction, but we're going to give her one anyway. We are joined by the one and only Susan Bratton, known around the world as the Intimacy Expert to millions. She is a champion for those who want more connection, more pleasure, more confidence, and more vitality at every stage of life. She is also the most respected voice in sexual biohacking, showing us how extending your sex span can directly support your health span. And today, we're going to unlock the intimacy, passion, vitality that you were born for with Susan Bratton. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Hayley. Hi, Brian. It's great to see you again. So you've been out there doing all the shows. I've been so jealous of your travel schedule. I've been seeing you everywhere. So it's good to connect again. Hello, hello.
Hello. Yes, we missed you at Biohacking. We thought for sure you might be there. We found a lot of really interesting things at the Biohacking conference, but we first met in Las Vegas at the A4M Longevity Fest.
Yes.
And ironically, if anybody has seen the Instagram short snippet with you, we had listened to your podcast on our way with the Diary of a CEO on our way to Vegas. And then there you were. We're like, oh my gosh, we have to talk to Susan Bratton. So
you were really fantastic and generous with your time. So really appreciated that. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. I love the enthusiasm that you're bringing to the biohacking and longevity space. I can just tell that you are really wanting to help more people be enrolled in these simple things we can do that give us a longer, healthier life. And, you know, it's interesting. I started a new newsletter. I've been writing for the last 18 years. I've been writing my Better Lover newsletter, teaching passionate lovemaking techniques and bedroom communication skills. And I started it when I was in my 40s, when we started our company. And we started our company because I'd been married to my husband at that time for 11 years, and I'd never had an orgasm from intercourse. And then we did a couple of things, which I can talk about. We did a couple of things, and all of a sudden we were like, wow, it's really actually very easy to have orgasms from intercourse if you know what to do and you don't expect a woman's body to be like a man's body. And that kind of got us into the lovemaking space and teaching passionate lovemaking techniques. And we've been doing that for 20 years, but now I'm in my 60s and I've been doing sexual biohacking and general biohacking for, the last decade or so. And what I speak on most often is why extending your sex span lengthens your health span. And so I've been taking all of the biohacking things that I've been doing, as well as the sexual biohacking things that I've been doing. And I launched a new newsletter called Longevity Wins. It's on Substack. And what's interesting about that is I named it Longevity Wins because I feel like you can't win the war. We're going to die, but we can win a lot of battles. My mother is 88 years old and she's declining very rapidly now, as is my stepfather. And my mother is bedbound and she has a lot of pain. And, it's a miserable way to go. And I don't want that for myself, nor do many of us. And we're so lucky to live in an era when that's not the de facto and we have a choice to change course. And so I feel like I may not win the war, I will die, but I'm going to win a lot of battles. And so I started Longevity Wins as a part of just sharing the things that I do. I'm lucky that I have the time being an entrepreneur, the money being a successful entrepreneur, and the interest to go out and be that N1 experiment person and share what's working for me, especially around sexual biohacking and regenerative therapies. And so I've been able to, over the last 2 decades, and by the way, I'm now with my husband 34 years, and we are having a great time with our sex life. I can even tell you about the date we had yesterday and what our date was like, which I think is so different than what a lot of people's sex lives are like. So I'll leave that wherever you want to take it, because I just dropped a ton of open loops to see, what's of interest to you for your listeners. But that's how I ended up here with you today, was really through my own trials and tribulations around my sexuality that led me into how do I have enough overall energy to have a kick-ass life? What am I doing? What do I love? What won't you be able to pry from my cold, dead fingers on the last day of my life? What will I still be? I'll probably still be a fake blonde. I'll probably still be on HRT. I'll probably still be having hot sex and great orgasms. I can tell you those three things right there. And I will still be doing some kind of functional daily movement.
I love it. Wow. There's so many different ways we can go from here.
I know. Now, how's your ADHD? Because now it's all in your lap.
Well, what's funny is like we did warn the kids, but one just walked in the door and the other ones are upstairs. So they're going to walk down in the middle of the conversation. And what I love is that we are not shy in this house and we talk about all the things. So we have 3 teenagers.
Yeah.
To the things.
Well, I think it's really important because I would say one of the number one things that people, when they are complaining to me about their sexuality, and they're like, how did I get here? How did I get to be so miserable and unsatisfied in my sex life? And a lot of times they blame their parents. My parents never told me anything. And the very first myth I have to distill is that your parents, it's not really their responsibility to tell you about your sex life. It's your responsibility to learn those things as a mature person. Your parents can give you the basics. But what I have also found is that parents who model good sex in their relationship and don't hide it and don't show shame about it are the people whose kids turn out to feel really good about their sex lives. So you have to bring some forgiveness to your parents. It was a different world back then, but also it's part of our sexual maturation, as part of our overall kind of personal growth work. People who like personal growth, entrepreneurs who believe they can learn anything, bodybuilding and fitness people who feel like they just need to learn what to do. That's the mindset for good lovers, because you can make a baby. There's a big difference between procreation and lovemaking, being a fabulous lover, being what I like to call fun to fuck, right? I hope it's okay if I said the F word on your show. I know it's a new show and you don't want to be alienating your new listeners.
Oh, no. It's all good.
It's the explicit content.
Yes, we use the F word all the time. It's
okay,
all good.
good.
So obviously, like, our kids will be traumatized, not because we didn't talk about it, but because
right.
to the extent that we do talk about it.
They won't be,
actually. It's all good.
They won't be traumatized by that.
No, I hope.
You're actually doing them a favor. They're just teenagers and they hate everything you do. That's just in the big bucket with all the things you do that annoy them. In the end, they'll be thanking you. I promise. Mark my words.
I look forward to that year, that time in our lives when they're like, thank you for talking about sex awkwardly at the dinner table all the time.
My daughter's 28 and she appreciates it.
Okay.
If that's any consolation, she came out great and she knows everything about us and she loves that about us. So
I love that. That's amazing. Amazing. You want to kick it off? Do you want me to kick it off?
Well, I think she walked us right into one of the topics that you wanted to go into. So
let's do it.
Keep running with it.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the misconceptions of intimacy and aging. A lot of people like, oh yeah, I made the babies. I did the things. You know, now my husband, he's fine if we don't have sex. And I think that is one of the things, that we talk about as that's an issue. But I feel that there's a really big problem for people to go from now they've got young kids at home and their sex life has dried up a little bit. How do you help people get back to that?
Yeah.
I just want to add a little bit more color to that. For our listener, what Hayley was mentioning and going forward in their lives without giving them an opportunity to look back, because we don't want to do that, right? That won't help them when it comes to, it's re-engage with the sex that we had 5 years ago. That's 5 years ago, in our opinion. But now, if you were going to help our listener take the steps forward, what would be your recommendations for them to find a new, healthy sexual relationship? Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Well, there's a couple of things. I would say the very first thing is that the sex that you're having now is you're in kindergarten. And I think that especially our male-bodied partners, they think they're much better than they are. And women think that, and that's okay. That's testosterone. It's testosterone. It makes you overly confident. It's what's wonderful about a woman getting testosterone replacement therapy is that all of a sudden we're like, oh, wow, look how directed I am. Look how confident I am. Look how much I think I know compared to how I used to think. It's like, it's crazy to start getting enough testosterone that you see why your men are like they are. And then you have some understanding and heart for how lucky they are that they got all that testosterone. Women think to themselves that they're broken, that their libido, there's something wrong with their libido, or that, that it hurts, or they just don't like it, or they're tired of it, or what have you. Male-bodied partners, these are all generalities because everything is on a big bell curve, and more men are having erectile dysfunction issues due to, shitty food and shitty water and endocrine disruptors, lots of toxic chemicals and more adipose fat and, all of those kinds of things. So that is depressing men's sexuality as well. But generally the construct is that the new relationship energy wears off 5 to 7 years in, sometimes 5 to 7 months in to a relationship, especially if there's been trauma, sexual abuse, shame, lack of knowledge. And lack of knowledge creates fear. And because in our culture, sex is really censored, very censored, you would not believe what happens with my content on the internet. It's almost always shut down, shadow banned, censored, throttled, what have you. And so thank you for having me, because podcasting is actually the last bastion of uncensored content. And it will be interesting to see how things go over the next few years in America. But, that creates a lot of fear. And so the other issue is that everything that we see in movies and television is through the kind of the male-oriented, patriarchal view of what sex is. And that's done a great disservice to our men as well. It's not men's fault at all. They're also the victims of this repression and censorship, this lack of pleasure-based sex education, the lack of understanding how our genital structures work and how different we are in our arousal patterns between the male and the female body. And that just creates a great amount of disconnect. But what I think is also very difficult is that people run out of ideas of things because they literally don't know what to do. They're the blind leading the blind behind closed doors. And so where you are with your sex life now, it's so shitty. Even if you think it's great, literally, I could tell you it's so shitty. No wonder you don't want to have sex anymore. No wonder it feels like a heavy lift, because we've gone about it all wrong. We have this, inherent shame. We don't understand our orgasmic capacity. We don't understand arousal. We don't have good ideas of things to do together. We're afraid to use sex toys. So all we see is porn and movies, which further exacerbate the disconnect between the man and the woman. And frankly, there's lots of people with lots of gender expression now, etc. But most people, the large majority of people, and the people that I generally talk to, are a dude and his lady. And they often are, they've found me because they want to have good sex and they want to know what to do. So here's what to do to kind of fix all that baggage that's been thrown on top of you, that's literally extinguishing your sexual vitality, which is now lowering your sex span, which is now lowering your health span, which is making you die younger and more miserable. Yeah. Here's how to fix that. Pretty simple. You start trying new shit together. You just try stuff. Everybody gets to try things. And the way that I facilitated this is that for decades, I've been writing hot sex techniques, oral pleasuring, love making. Like, I think some of my very best work that I've done in the world has been explaining to people how the human body can have over 20 kinds of orgasms. And people are like, what? And so then you're like, okay. And so maybe you'd like to try to have some more. Like maybe you got one pathway, right? You have this ejaculatory orgasm as a man, or maybe as a woman, you have this clitoral orgasm, or maybe you got lucky and had the vaginal orgasm that most women are trying to have. But that's just one neural pathway to one modality when you can be a multimodal comer. So I think that's the first thing. And then the second thing is orgasmic intercourse. Like, if you're going to be in a pair bonded male, female, penis, vagina situation, what are you going to do to make it as good for him as it is for her? Because what we've seen in our culture is what feels good to a penis. So we didn't even know what a vagina was really like inside until a guy named, he's an artist. What is his name? It's a very simple, it's like Jimmy Stewart or something like that. And I'm sorry, I don't remember his name, but he did that piece of art called The Great Wall of Vagina, which then all the sexperts in the world said, that's not a vagina, that's a vulva. You know, now it's called The Great Wall of Vagina Strike Through Vulva. And then he cast all these vulvas. Then he was like, well, I wonder what the vajayjay looks like in there. And he found volunteers and he cast a bunch of vaginas. And it was the first time we had castings to show the variety of what a vaginal cavern looks like. And it's basically like a flat pocket. It's like a little flat pocket. It's like there's nothing there until a baby comes out, a penis goes in, a toy goes in, whatever it might be. So a cucumber. So it feels good to have something in there, obviously. So that was very, very interesting to learn more about what the vagina, actually the structures look like. Then we could begin to understand how the tissue works. And now we're starting to get information about, corpuscles and mechanoreceptors and Ruffini endings, nerve endings. And the Dr. Nan Wise is doing all this amazing work with what she calls the crotch of the brain, which is this, the area of your brain that processes the sensation that your genitals actually feel. So now we're like, oh, okay, we're doing orgasmic activation. Oh, orgasmic cross training, right? So this is a lot of the thrust of my work is in really just physiologic activation as well as reframing the mindset of what sex can be like for people. And orgasmic intercourse, I think, is a big part of what I've done is I've collected a series of really great intercourse techniques that couples can do so that they can kind of get the vagina on a level playing field with the penis. So mama and daddy both happy. Because that's what we need. It's not just making mama happy makes everybody happy. You got to make daddy happy too. So how do you do that? So I want to drop a link for your listeners. Orgasmicintercourse.com is a place where you can just get all my intercourse techniques. I want you to try the heart tongue method. I want you to try the dope flow sex date. I want you to try glissando. I want you to try thrust in time. I want you to try crouching tiger, bouncing dragon. I want you to try all this stuff to activate her vagina, her yoni is what I really like to call it, Y-O-N-I. That's a 4-letter word, my favorite one, because what it really means is the vagina, the vulva, the clitoral structure, urethral structure, perineal structure, the nerves, the mechanoreceptors, the brain, and the spiritual aspect of really hot, ecstatic bliss states of orgasmic co-creative pleasure that allow you to touch source, God, Gaia, whatever you want to call that thing. That is how all connected we are to each other. And when you hit that level of great sex together, foo! So that's some of the stuff that is kind of foundational. But what I did was I took it all these things, and I said, okay, here's an easy place to start. Like, that's a lot. Don't even worry about it. Now that I've kind of taken your brain and gone, whoa, you're like, okay, I just got overwhelmed. So now I have to calm it back down and say, here's the one simple trick to having a sex life that gets better and better and better as you go. And that is the sex life bucket list. What are you guys going to do together? What's of interest to you? So I put together 48 erotic play dates that you could consider as a possibility for what you want to learn and how you want to sexually mature and become better lovers together. It's at sexlifebucketlist.com.
Right. We have all the links. You'll
have all the links. I like to just drop them as I go so that people can cherry pick what they want.
We'll make sure to add them into the notes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Essentially what you do is, and I want to know what your guys' sex life bucket list stuff is, because everybody's always telling me, oh, here's what was on my list and here's what on my husband's list. And I'm like, oh, those are so much fun. I love to know what people want to do. And essentially what you get is a printout. Print out 2 copies, get into bed, have your pencil and your printouts and crack open your phone or your laptop and watch the video I made for you where I walk you in as sexy a way as I can through the 48 erotic playdates and I kind of explain what they are and you mark them. A, this is definitely on my side. B's are, it's not for me, baby, but if you want to do it, I am going to do that with you. I'm totally open to it. If it's an A for you, I will do it. And C's are, nah, not for me right now. Don't think that's my priority. And then you get your A's, you merge your list, and then you can start working on what it is you want to learn and experience together. That is the antidote to the monotony of monogamy. It is the how do you become a better lover? How do you get to be fun to fuck? And by fuck, I mean all the things. I mean, that's like sex. Sex isn't just intercourse, although it's good to be really good at that. You know, we talk about foreplay and intercourse, and it's like, no. That's just all. Let's get it all on the table. It's a smorgasbord, people. Let's get it all on the table. So, yeah, there you go. Boop, I'm done.
That's where they start. You touched on something earlier, which I think is mindset. And I think when we look back, we're going to look back for a second. Right. At the years of having young kids and being super busy, a lot of people have that broken connection with their partner. I think that before they can even get to the bucket list, there has to be some other kind of mending to go along with it. So Brian and I right now are reading His Needs, Her Needs. Have you read it?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So
yeah, it's from an old religious guy. I think he might even be dead now.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people don't even realize what the needs are of their partner that they're in a relationship with. And so that's one of the things that, again, we like to help people sort of touch on is like recommend, different books and people like you to them that we feel can get them past that. Because I think before you even touch the bucket list, you really have to know like what your person's needs are when it comes to getting them over that hurdle and back into that mindset of even wanting to have sex with them again.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really smart. Now, I kind of feel like that book is outdated and it's also very patriarchal. So I don't love it. Because, I'm the CEO of 2 companies. I'm a 6-foot-tall woman. I'm very directed. I know what I want. I have a lot of what we used to call in the old days masculine energy. But I just think I'm just a bomb-ass bitch. And I want everyone to be a bomb-ass bitch or bastard. Like, I just want us to all be living fully into 100% of our potential. Yeah. And so I do feel like that particular book is a little outdated. Let me give you an upgrade to that.
Yes, please. We welcome it.
Always learning.
Yes.
So I was trying to expand my market beyond just sexuality. About, I want to say 2016. So almost a decade ago, I wrote a book called My Relationship Magic. It's a workbook. I'll send it to you. It's at myrelationshipmagic.com. You don't have to buy it. Don't buy it on Amazon and spend the extra money. Just get the PDF because it's a workbook anyway. And essentially, the way they would tease the segment when I was on a morning show or what have you, they would tease a segment. I'd be in the green room. They go, and coming up next is Susan Bratton to talk about your relationship values and why the golden rule could be ruining your relationship and mucking up your marriage. Stay tuned after this commercial. And I'd come on and they'd be like, well, so why is the golden rule do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, wrecking our relationships and mucking up our marriage? And I'd say, well, what you really want to do is use the platinum rule, which is treat your partner the way they want to be treated. Don't treat them the way you want to be treated, especially in a pair bond. We literally have different physiologic and hormonal profiles and all that stuff. So it really is a workbook that says, what are the things that are most important to you in this relationship with your partner? And what are the most important things for them? What are the feelings they want to feel? What are the needs they need to get met? And then just get up every day and focus on the things your partner wants and have them focus on the things you want. And that has been so helpful to so many people because we do end up treating our partner the way we want to be treated just because that's what we know. But our partner doesn't even understand why we're doing what we're doing because they haven't been clearly told what it is you want. So as an example, my number one relationship value is security, safety. And it is because I came up in a very sketchy childhood situation and my parents didn't protect me. and didn't watch over me. I had to be the parent of my parents as a child, which was good because I was a strong young girl. So that was great. That they were lucky they had me. Honestly, they needed me to take care of them in so many ways. God love them. They were just very gentle souls. But I needed my husband to keep me safe, because I hadn't been kept safe. And that was financial security. That was physical. That was good tires on the car, a burglar alarm, a safe word if I felt insecure, holding me a lot, things like that. Really, I like a daddy. My husband is both my husband, my business partner, my life mate. I'm his mother in some ways because he lost his mom at 13. I'm very motherly. 50 or 60% of my closest friends are adopted. They have mommy issues because I'm such a mommy. So that was my number one thing. For my husband, his number one thing is passion. That's why he's in a relationship. And it's not just to get laid. He likes me to wear lingerie. He likes to see me naked. He likes me to sit on his lap and give him a kiss. He walks by me 10 times a day and kisses me. He just is very kinesthetic because he's a genius. So he's in his numbers and his monitors and all. And so when he needs grounding, he needs affection. He wants me to grab his ass and shake my boobs at him. He wants me to flip my top up and he wants to squeeze my boobs. And like that makes my husband happy. So that's what I do for him. And then we have our other things we want. Luckily, my husband and I both share honesty as a relationship value. For me, if I know what's going on, I won't be surprised or hurt. For him, he's like, if I know what's going on, I can fix that bullshit. He's a fixer, which I like. So I really love when you get very clear on your relationship values and you understand how to get up every day and make your partner ecstatically happy by giving them the exact relationship that they want, because now you know what it is. But what I learned from that experience was that if I go out and talk about relationship stuff, and remember, I'm not a therapist. I write hot sex techniques and bedroom communication skills and intimate wellness. I'm a publisher of passionate lovemaking. So I don't sit in a room and solve people's problems. But I did this thing because I thought it was going to be like my Trojan horse into finding the people who actually weren't afraid to work on their sex life, like you two. You want it. You want to know. You'll do it. And you want to know what the steps are. Those people are so rare. You guys, they're so rare. Maybe 15% of every 100 people is even willing to learn how to have good sex. And it's so suppressed in our culture.
And where do you think for an adult that sits, and how can that be addressed? Meaning,
I can't say the people who are drowning. I just can't. Like, I've got a small rowboat. You get the fuck in. Let's go. We're rowing to Pleasure Town. All the rest of you people, watery grave. Like, honestly, I'm not here to fix the entire universe's problems. I'm here to teach the people who want to have hot sex how to have the most unbelievable sex of their life, how to have great sex till the day they die, how to have all the orgasms, how to have so much fun, how to generate copious amounts of oxytocin. This is what I'm here for.
So hearing that and going back to what you mentioned earlier for that mindset, when I think the first question we asked, you said, try new shit or try new, did I say shit?
You said, maybe.
I don't know what she said, but she said, try new things,
Yeah.
Get out there and start experimenting. And then you gave us a good link to the bucket.
Yeah. Sex life bucket list.
Thank you. And then you led us to the other for when they want to put forth the work to understand one another, which was the
myrelationshipmagic.com.
Perfect. Okay, so that leads us to, we found our listener who is with a partner. They're both like, hey, we acknowledge the fact that we're not where we want to be. They go forward and they start with your bucket list, and then they go in and they start continuing to work. When you get through the bucket, well, not through, but as you continue to use the bucket list and you continue to work within the framework of your workbook, as you mentioned, what would be the next steps for them? Like, how would they continue to evolve? What ways could we recommend that they consider to continue to learn and evolve?
One of the very first things that I would recommend that you put on your A list of your bucket list is learning a technique called the Sexual Soulmate Pact, PACT, like an agreement between couples. Because the one thing that will hold you back from doing all the rest of the stuff, like the foundation upon which all this fun, sexy stuff sits, is I know what I want and I can ask for it. When I ask for it, my partner's like, yeah, tell me more. Yeah, give me some color around that. Like, exactly what did you mean by that? Give me some, share, keep going, tell me. Or anything you have to say to me while we're making love, anything that we're doing, blurt it out. You're not going to hurt my feelings. We're just, it's all fair game. I want to know everything. Just tell me everything. When you can get to that point of having that free, because most women say, I don't know what I want. I just know what I'm getting, isn't it? And if I say anything to him during sex, he emotionally collapses. He takes it that he did something wrong. And so I just keep my mouth shut. Well, you ain't going to get off the dime. You doing that. That's not going to work. So I really like the Sexual Soulmate Pact. It's linked in the Sex Life bucket list as one of the erotic play dates. So it's easy to find. You don't have to download another thing. It's already going to be in the bucket list for you. It comes with it because it's so foundational. And I think that is what people struggle with the most. And it sounds like you guys are doing a really good job. You talk about sex even in front of your children. So you don't necessarily have that problem, but for most people, they have dark, furtive, really boring sex, and they don't make any sounds or say anything.
Yeah, inside joke.
Well, now you have to share.
What you just mentioned a second ago, and I'm the male in the relationship, and my own insecurities or insecurities that I may have had previously, I know how I overcame them in line with the 48 buckets. I'm going to screw it up. I should write this down.
That's okay. Sex Life bucket list.
Sex Life bucket list. It is now in my head for my sex life.
Don't worry.
List. Was any motivation or encouragement for the female partner coming from a female perspective to give that male a level of confidence if they're willing, but this is the first time, and having a little bit of amnesty for the first time they're going to be exposed to this. What kind of advice can you give to the female partner to encourage their male who's going to be a little bit insecure and putting up a little bit of a barrier?
I'm really glad you said that, Brian, because the thing that happens in long-term monogamous relationships, and one of the biggest reasons why sex kind of goes by the wayside and you'd rather just watch TV together in bed when you could be having orgasms, is that he feels like he has to do a good job and be perfect. In man land, and this is the work of Dr. Terry Real, men are raised to not have emotion. They're raised only to be allowed to have anger and to be victims. And it does our men a great disservice because they feel like if they do something wrong, they're going to go down in the pecking order. Females are team-oriented and community-minded because we have to band together because we're prey against men. And so we're like horses. We're flight animals.
I said he loves when I pray.
We're like horses. We have to stay together in a pack and run from danger. And so for men, they really they get a disservice because they want to do such a good job. They don't want to mess anything up. And so they don't want to fail because then they go down in pecking order because everything in manland is hierarchical. What the Sexual Soulmate Pact does is it teaches you as a man how to look at feedback not as failure, but as information to do the best job you can. Because what you want is you want to win and you want to be respected. And so when a woman understands that, she can say things to you in a way that lets you know this is just helping you do a better job. And it's not criticism. And that really helps a lot. And then when you start doing your bucket list types of things and you've established this solid communication base in the bedroom, then what happens is you generate new relationship energy. There's a very simple equation. This was taught to me by Dossie Eaton. She wrote a book called The Ethical Slut. I know. I really stand on the shoulder of giants. In a lot of ways, I've had some really incredible mentors in my life. And I don't know if you know this, but in my publishing company, we've published 44 books and programs on passionate lovemaking, and 10 of them are the work of my mentors whose lineages I carry forward. And then the other 34 are things I've written over the last 2 decades of studying everything and everyone. And what Dossie taught me was that hot sex, great sex that keeps getting better, the better lover mindset is what I call it, is a combination of 2 things in equal measure. The first is safety and trust. Security. You're not going to hurt me. You're not going to give me an STI. If you do, we'll get through it. You know, whatever it might be, you're going to show up and be trustworthy. I can let my guard down. I'm a horse. I'm going to run. How do I get out of that prey mindset and relax and surrender to my pleasure? Get out of my head, which is my protection mechanism, and into my body, which is my sex span and longevity, place. And it's that. So that's good. But if you only have that and you don't have the second half of the equation, which is novelty, variety, fun, adventure, erotic adventure, learning new things together, then your desire wanes rather than grows. And so the new relationship energy of trying the things on the sex life bucket list, beginning as beginners together with that Buddhist mind, which is we're both beginners. We don't know what we're doing. And we're probably going to do this a couple of times. Like the first time I give you a yoni massage, I'm going to be, pretty much all thumbs. I'm still finding my way. What does this tissue like versus this tissue? Does this toy feel better than this toy? Are your legs comfortable under the pillows? Is this the right intimacy oil to use? All of those kinds of things. Now I've got to let you put your hands on me, and I've got to give you feedback, and I'm not completely relaxed, and I'm a little self-conscious of you looking right at my yoni. And by the 3rd or 4th time, you're starting to get your legs under you, and you're starting to get connected. The limbic connection begins to flow. The communication begins to flow. The relaxation begins to come in, and things start getting really good. And now you're making dates to do regular yoni massages because you're like, wow, my orgasms are incredible when you give me a yoni massage before we make love. That's the next step, is understanding that what you're doing is you're learning new things together. And there's no wrong. There's just finding, experimenting. And then one of the nice things to do when you have those dates is to do something that one of my mentors, Dr. Patty Taylor, taught me, which is called sharing frames. And sharing frames is after the lovemaking date. You could be riding in the car. You could be doing whatever. You could be lying in bed, drifting off to sleep together in each other's arms. And you could say, oh, tell me your favorite frames when we had sex yesterday and we tried that thing, whatever it was.
We call those the visuals.
The visuals. This is really corporeal. This is the body. So this is, what did my body experience in the peak moment of our togetherness yesterday during that lovemaking date? So it's not the emotional processing. It's actually the physical sensations. When you took your finger and started rubbing it back and forth across my clitoral hood, I finally popped that lady boner Susan Bratton kept telling me about. What I hadn't realized was that it wasn't just the tip, the glands, the tip of the clitoris that wanted stimulation, that shaft of my clit feels really good when you play it like a violin. That was what I felt. Suddenly I felt this hard little penis popping out of me. And that, once you got that nice and full, oh my God, it stayed hard until you gave me like 4 or 5 orgasms and I had to take a break. And I'm really excited to get that clit boner going again, right? So something like that could be an example of sharing a frame.
Yeah, that's like a great Instagram clip that we're going to use.
Yes.
It might be shadow banned, but
just bleep some of the words and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. We don't even know we're supposed to have a lady boner because I can't publish it anywhere. But your stuff's sanitized enough that you can sneak a little lady boner in with the red light and the cryo and the, all the methylene blue and all that stuff.
And Lady Boner.
And Lady Boner. All right. This has been incredibly educational. I wish we
Good.
had 2 more hours to talk through it. Really quick, what is your favorite intimacy tool?
Man, well, I'll tell you about the date I had yesterday. So yesterday, Tim gave me a yoni massage. Hang on, I'm looking for them. Tim gave me a yoni massage, and he
Is that like a candy bowl but filled with toys?
Oh God, you should see my couch. It's nuts. I'll actually take a photo of it and text it to you guys so you can just see what's sitting here. Yesterday he was giving me a yoni massage, but I had to get up and go afterward. And I was going to a dinner with a friend. And so I said, okay, well, I'm having a little trouble settling because I need to get up and go. And so I cut the yoni massage a little short and I said, hey, could I just lay back against you? And could you just play with my boobs while I give myself a couple of orgasms with my favorite new 2 sex toys that I use together? And he's like, yeah, that sounds fun. He loves to play with my boobs and listen to me have orgasms. And so one of the things that was really nice about that was that we made some time to connect. It didn't have to be any prescribed thing. We just felt our way through what seemed like the most exciting thing at the time. And I could leave. Literally, he just gave me a yoni massage and played with my boobs, and I had some orgasms, and then I left. And I didn't feel guilty at all that he didn't have an orgasm. And he didn't either, because if you make it a quid pro quo, if you make it like, yeah, I'll give you a yoni massage if I can ejaculate in you, to get off, you won't do it. Like that nets you less sex. What nets you more sex is she'll lie down on that bed and see what she feels like doing. And a lot of times it's going to end up with your blowjob intercourse that you also get off on her. And sometimes she's going to get up off the bed, or she's going to be like, I'm tired. Me in, and you're gonna be like, of course, babe. Like, once you get rid of the neediness, she can relax and start to build her arousal. So the 2 toys I used were this and this. And this one, I'm going to describe them because I know there's a lot of audio listeners. This one is called the Pearl, and it goes inside the vagina. If you want to have orgasms from intercourse, you've got to activate that vaginal cavern. It's not just going to do it on its own. You got to wake that shit up. And what I love about the Pearl is that it fills the kind of the vaginal cavern up, and it has these little bumps that give extra sensation to the G area, which is not a spot. It's a long tube of tissue on the roof of the vagina. And then I like to use it with an external wand. This is called the Pro Wand, an external wand that goes on my clitoris at the same time. So I'm both getting stimulation internally and externally, so that it's giving me this massive amount of sensation. Plus, he's playing with my boobs and my nipples at the same time. And that's another part of a connected system. My lips, tongue, mouth, my breast, nipples, my whole yoni.
You might explode.
What?
She might just combust.
You can hold this.
Find out.
You can hold a lot of sensation. And where these tools are, any tools I ever mention and my current latest collection, so if you're like, where do I get those, is at drivedesire.com. And what I love about this wand is that it's super lightweight, but packs a powerful, delicious vibrational punch. So that's what we did yesterday. And I think really it's about this idea that you're just going to lay down together, feel into what you both want, throw out some ideas. If one thing's not working, move on to the next thing. That's what makes you fun to fuck. I think you need to call this whole segment Fun to Fuck, because not really, but I think that's what makes you fun to fuck, is when you're willing to just feel into your bodies and throw out ideas and be like, you know what I could really go for? 69 sounds fun to me today. And you're like, that sounds good to me too. Let's just do that. Or whatever it is. There's a million things. And for those people who are like, oh, I don't really like 69. I can't really concentrate. That's because you haven't practiced enough. It is one of the most amazing and incredible things you can possibly do with your partner. It is ecstatically orgasmic, and it is a bliss state. It is a conjoined trance state of bliss that takes some practice. It's a meditative practice. And so keep practicing. And I'll mic drop my vibrator. That and keep practicing. Boom.
Susan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Hayley.
Really
Thank you, Brian.
appreciate your time. This has been great. Everything will be linked in the show note caption. So thank you.